How is everybody doing today? How you living? Staying out the heat? Because I know it's hot out there. Let me know what you think. About to talk about positive exposure and building experience over time, building experience. So before we get into this, if I'm sweating, forgive me. It's hot back here today. I don't know what. It's 100 degrees outside, man. I need to go back in the house, but I'm fixed to. Positive exposure, negative exposure. We all deal with it. You can't avoid it. You have to find a way to hold on to the positive and disregard the negative. But you have to have in your mind, in your heart, a barometer of what's positive and what's negative. If you're not raised in a healthy, not perfect, but healthy household, things it's hard sometimes to determine what's positive and what's negative because of this flesh that you're under will tell you some things are positive, but it's really negative. So for me, most of my family, like I said, most of my family is from Sweet Home. Then we moved to Little Rock, or we settled in Southwest Little Rock, lived in different places, but most of my experiences come from Sweet Home, living in the country. 0 to about 12, 13, Sweet Home. Then, we lived in different little spots, apartments and stuff like that. Most of the influences, most of the people that I've gotten those positive experiences from, especially when I was little, was in Sweet Home. The values, the community values, things you can't do, things you can't say. I grew up in a country, Sweet Home, that you don't call older people by their first name or their nickname, and you might hear them being called that. If my grandma called her friend Cookie, I better not say, "Hey, Cookie." That's the kind of stuff you you learn. You're growing up like understanding. Um, you don't understand it when you're young in politics, but understanding that there is politics at every level of life. Where from family to when you leave out the house, now you in the streets, school, anywhere where there's other people, there is a political hierarchy. Whether you believe it or not, it's just what it is. It's something about having that time doing stuff in the country. You see the freedom. You feel a certain kind of freedom. You're not restricted to anything. It's just open space. People are not as cautious because it's not like living in apartments or living in the projects. You got to be cautious about where your kids go. You have to be mindful of where your kids are. In the country, when you at your grandma's house, around family, you're not you can just let your kids be outside. You don't even have to go outside and see where they're going, what's going on, because that's just how it is. It's just mostly family, and kids outside with their cousins. Why am I saying this? In the country, this is just my experience. You have a lot of exposure to doing things that kind of show you where you are, who you are. You get exposed to working on houses. Some people can say positive, some people can say negative. You get exposed to working on cars. Some people can say that's positive, some people can say that's negative. You get exposed to all kind of things, and it kind of show you, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm not into that. Like me, I've been into cars my whole life. Like cars. I like different kinds of cars, not just one specific car. Always been into cars. I understand. Like, am I an engineer? Nope. But I've always like motors. Like, I've always been in the Chevy. That's been my thing. Not a big Ford guy, Dodge guy. I like older Dodges, like GTO and stuff like that. But I've always been a car guy, as long as I can remember. Now, can do stuff on the house, but it's not the highest priority. I'd rather pay somebody to do it, but in today's time, it's hard to find somebody you can trust to bring into your space, and not feel like they scoping you out, trying to line you up. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Positive experiences. Positive exposure. Being exposed to things, being exposed to people that do healthy things, being exposed to understand how things work before the real clock starts. Because when you're an adult, the real clock starts. But when you're a kid, you can expose yourself to positive things. You can learn about things before you even get to being an adult. One thing I learned about when we moved to the city was we settled in Southwest, right? I worked at a gas station called BP. Now it's a Asian gas station. I think it's Hess or whatever it is. I don't know what it is now. Over there by O'Reilly, but it used to be a BP. Worked there, and I learned how to change tires on a tire machine and balance tires. Is it hard work? No. The only thing that makes it hard is when it's 100 degrees like it is now in the summertime and you're doing it and there's no AC. Otherwise than that, learning how to manage a vehicle. I think I was 16, 17, something like that. Learning how you got to change the oil, learning how you got to check the coolant, learning how to watch for the warning signs so you can prevent it from being catastrophic, learning about different cars, learning about Fords, learning about Chevy, learning about all these different things working at BP. Positive exposure. Many other things I've learned in life, and I've held on to those kind of skills that help me get things done in an efficient way. Negative exposure. Sometimes you can't control the negative exposure. I would say you have to be able to process what you're seeing and be objective about it and say, okay, I get it. That's what that person do, or that's what happened here, but I'm not going to repeat it, and I'm not going to allow it to be a part of my thinking. When you become an adult, or when you get to that age of accountability, when you living under somebody else's roof, you may not have total control of what you're exposed to. But when you become an adult and you living under your own roof, making your own money, picking where you want to live, you control what you expose yourself to most of the time, 90% of the time. 90% of the time you do. Negative exposure is not all bad, depending on how you look at it, your perspective. Sometimes negative exposure lets you know that maybe this is not for you. Pros and cons. Cons can be negative exposure. Pros can be good exposure. But you have to learn these things growing up. And it get tricky because depending on where you live, depending on the environment, what's negative could be positive and what's positive could be negative. Working 9 to 5, finding a career working 9 to 5 can be considered negative. Sliding on people in the YN Durango, in the YN Charger, that can be considered positive. Is it? No, it's not. But if you get around the wrong people, You get around the wrong influence, they will have an effect on what you think is negative and positive. That's why you hear older people always say, watch who you hang around. You have to watch who you hang around. Hanging around the wrong crowd can be dangerous. So, if I'm talking to a young man right now, I'm telling you, while you young in high school, find out what you're good at, find out what your skills are, pick a career field that's around your skills. I think everybody has more than one skill. I truly think that. But it's up to you if you're willing to explore and execute on those skills. Sometimes you can be around the wrong environment and nobody has that drive. Everybody's complaining, everybody's bitter, but you don't have that person that will nudge you and challenge you and push you to go to the next level. But this is the first step. After you find out about yourself, you learn about yourself, pick a career field. Do you want to go apprenticeship? Do you want to go in information technology? Do you want to go in science, like being a doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse? All those things, the medical field? Do you want to be in the finance field, automotive field, vocational field? There are a lot of fields you can work in. Supply chain field, logistics, all of it. It's so many fields you can go into, but you got to pick one. Is there things you can access early? This is important. This is something I did, and I'm passionate to anybody that want to hear it. Working at BP, early access to understand how to maintain a car. When I was working the jobs like Baskin Robbins, working at Crane when I used to be on university, learning about different people you work with, the different environments that's set based on the personalities that work there. Learning about, and I'm not even a psychologist, I'm saying you learn about personalities. You learn about how to be dependable, how to be reliable when you start working early. You start learning those things. Or you learn the positive, the negative side. Maybe you don't want to be on time. Maybe you don't want to be reliable. But you start to see patterns. So let's say you're a kid and you're going to, you want to do something, work on houses or work on cars. What are some of the things you can access early? You can get cars for dirt cheap now, some of them anyway, that you can work on, like cars that are like inoperable that you can work on. You probably get them for like $500, something like that. You can get tools from Harbor Freight. You don't have to go to Home Depot all the time. Harbor Freight is the best place to go for entry level anything. You can get access to those tools early. Easy. You want to be in information technology? Get you a computer. Learn how to use a computer. Learn about the operating system. Learn about file management. Learn about updates. Learn about drivers. How do you connect a computer to a printer? How do you connect a computer to the Google Drive? All those things. Before you even get to the web development, how do you use a computer to do your job? How do you use VS Code? All those things. There's a building blocks that you got to have in place. Can you get the reps in on your own? Can you do, like if you're learning something, what do you do on your own time to reinforce what you learn? When I did web development, not only did I do it in class, but I had to do it on my own time. I have to practice. I have to do those things. And I can build my own website, WordPress or static. I like static a little better because I don't have to pay for hosting. But at some point, You will have to get to the point. Just off the knowledge, you're gonna have to pay for hosting. But when you just start, or depending on what you're doing, you can just do static and be just fine. But can you get the reps in on your own? Can you work on what you want to do without having to work for somebody? The best vehicle to get as a young man. What's the best vehicle to get as a young man? In my opinion, based on my experience at 42, if I'm talking to my son, I'm telling him to get a truck and at least a 16-foot flatbed trailer. Why? A truck is a utility vehicle. A flatbed trailer is a utility tool to move things around, haul things around. When you have a truck, you can do different things to make money. You can haul stuff off of people, help somebody move something. You get a trailer, you can haul cars around, you can haul lawnmowers around, you can do all those things. You have an ability to make money outside of just working for somebody. And as an adult, that's what you want to do. You want to find, as a man, as many ways to generate income as efficient as you can. And if you get the knowledge, you learn how to do it without doing physical labor. And this is why education matters. Learning how to do something. And I didn't even spell it right. That's funny. Let me fix that real quick. Give me 1 second. Why education matters. Oh God, I can't type today. There we go. Why education matters. In life, when you're growing up, sometimes you have ideas, it's like dots, and you want to connect those dots, but you can't because you don't have the knowledge base to connect those dots. Nobody's saying that you're dumb. Nobody's saying that you're not smart. It's just you don't have the knowledge base to know how to get from A to B. If I told you to go start an LLC without an attorney, you can go start an LLC on your own at the Secretary of State. Would you know the steps to do that? If I told you you can get a dealer license in Arkansas for $250 after you get all the other stuff done, I'm gonna make a video about that too. Would you be able to do that? Education matters because if you don't know where to go. What's the next step? That's why education matters. And something. You got to do something, not nothing. Even if you want to cut hair, you got to educate yourself on them clippers. Anything you do, you have to educate yourself on, even the negative stuff. You want to be a player, you have to educate yourself on how women work as far as you can know, or the type of women that you're dealing with. You have to educate yourself in order to know what moves to make. You want to play sports, you have to educate yourself in that position. And when you're young, you can do that early. When you have a knowledge base that you learn that makes sense, some stuff you just won't do because it don't make sense. Logic-wise, it don't make sense. When you educate yourself. Education matters. Don't let nobody tell you no different. So this is the last slide. Being able to tie positive experience and access together. Over the course of my life, from about 15 to 42, I've learned a multitude of things. And some of it stuck, some of it didn't. Learning how to maintain cars, Learning how to listen to a car and know if something's wrong with it. Learning how to figure stuff out if I don't know. One of the things that I see as a community is some people, it's hard for them to say that they don't know something. But I'm telling you, working in information technology, you're going to come across stuff you don't know all the time. And it's not about if you don't know it, it's about can you figure it out. Like I said on the last one, if somebody tell you, you ask somebody to do something, I don't know, the next thing to see is, are they going to figure it out? Or every time you ask, they don't know. At some point, as an adult, you're going to get to a point where I don't know is the answer not going to work. You have to figure it out. Or you're going to have a lot of collateral damage. When I first became an adult, I didn't know how to pay bills. I had to figure it out. When I went to school at like 25, 26, I had to figure it out. And when I went to school first, I went to school for paint and body first. I still use it to this day. Went to school for information technology, still doing it to this day. That's why I'm able to do these podcasts. I mean, that's why I can record anywhere. It's just the time for me getting this education out the way. Yeah, I can live stream anywhere. They got a Wi-Fi connection, or maybe I need to get a hotspot, and I can be outside live streaming or do it from your phone. I understand how to make content with the camera and the computer. When you tie all those dots together. That's why it's important to pick something that makes sense. Look at the bigger picture. What will give you the advantage? And take and build your positive exposure. Just like a bookcase in a room full of books in your brain. If you can make your brain full of positive exposures and process the negative, learn from it, but don't hold on to it. Yo, this your boy Mike. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Positive exposure and building experience. I will catch you on the next one.